Hey, you found him. Nice. All right, welcome to episode 190 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me once again this week, just the two of us, Steven.
Just the two of us, you and I.
Yep, Chase is off, having a blast playing a bunch of board games at an event he got tickets for, so I'm hoping he's having fun with that. And I feel bad for his wallet because board games are expensive as hell, and I know he's going to end up buying some. But yeah, so let's jump straight into what we've been doing because, actually, before we get into that, we only have 10 more episodes until our 200th episode.
Jinkies.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do, but I want to try and do something. Maybe try and reach out to some people that have been on the show before to come in and join us or do something. Joey, if you're still watching this, you can come back, man. We don't mind. We miss having you on here on occasion. Maybe we'll get Chris's camera to work again. Who knows?
I'll make some calls.
We're going to need serious technical support. We're going to get him his own computer that's just for that, so he'll quit changing the settings. So, but yeah, I'm trying to think for that because that's going to be about 10, 11 weeks from now, it's just crazy that we've already made it to almost 200 episodes. But all right, let's jump into what we've been doing. Steven, we'll start with you. And before you get into your other games, you're going to have to explain about the figure you just showed because that is awesome. And I want to hear how you found it.
Okay, well, Hasbro Legends is doing the Marvel Gamerverse where they are basically doing Marvel vs. Capcom in everything but name. So they're releasing pretty much everything from the collection. So this is Gargantos because Shumagorath belongs to Conan and they don't have the rights to that.
Yep.
But it does have the art on the side, so he looks like how you remember. And then you can tell it's from Marvel vs. Capcom because you win, you beat up Silver Samurai.
And that's the training level from Marvel vs. Capcom.
This one has appeared at different retailers, but it originally first appeared through GameStop. I think it's now on Amazon as well. Two big guys you can get it from. I just ordered Juggernaut to come from Amazon. I already have Captain America and Venom, Wolverine and Silver Samurai, and Iron Man and Omega Red.
It's War Machine, isn't it? War Machine and Omega Red.
War Machine and Omega Red.
That's the only one I've seen in public. I found him at Walmart, and that's the only one I've managed to find.
The impossible one right now is Thanos and Psylocke because that's Target exclusive, and it hasn't appeared anywhere. And I've checked 5 Targets almost every week until I see one. And then lastly, they're coming out with it next month, but they announced they're doing a 2-pack of Punisher and Nick Fury, also part of the same Gamerverse, because on the back it shows them from the beat 'em up. But
those are specifically colored to be like the sprites in the beat 'em up game, which is great.
A lot of these are, and they put the nice pixel art on the side, so they've always been fun to have. So those have been fun to collect. Again, like I only need the one that's exclusive to Target. Thanks, Target.
I've been trying to keep an eye out for you.
But my other pickups there's a guy called Jeremy Parrish. He does a lot of books, and he did these big ones called the Road to NES.
Yeah, Jeremy Parrish, the creator of Retronauts and one of the main hosts for that show. Highly recommend
So I'm going to be actually opening these because this one is the Road to NES. So it's games that came out close to the NES Famicom coming out and stuff like that. And a lot of Japanese games or older games. And then the second one is their Revolution when they truly took off.
Oh, wow.
And then there's a third one that is coming soon that I think shipped.
That's a big book. That's a very
coffee
big book.
Table book for sure.
You put legs on it, it would be the coffee table.
And that one's going to be around like the end of its life, like what came out and what those games look like Little Samson and such.
I've got some other books from them. They're not as big, but like some of his NES, like Famicom and NES compilations and compendiums.
Lastly, I went to Silver Lining Direct. I know you've never heard of them, but
I have not.
But they actually are the only people. I had to import it, but they did the collector's edition for Ninja Gaiden Ragebound,
Ooh.
And the coolest thing was the acrylic stand that does four different parallax scrolling to give you a scene from the game, which I thought was awesome. I'm collecting a lot of acrylic stands lately because if they come with those, I'm kind of sold. Because soundtracks are usually samplers nowadays, and art books are like this big. So
I know the Daemon X Machina for Switch 2 has an acrylic stand in there. I haven't put it together yet, so I need to see what that one is that's in there. So,
also
that's
been
kind of
playing
cool.
DZZ. No ninjas in there though. Sorry. But that's normal. They just had an update happen to Shinobi Art of Vengeance that upped the resolution and did some other glitch fixes. I didn't come across any of the glitches, but now the game looks phenomenal. Everything looks nice and crisp running around. So they basically just improved the resolution so it matches everything else. So that was good to see because originally it was don't get it on Switch. It doesn't look as good. Now it looks like everything else. It's great.
Perfect.
And lastly, and I don't have them with me, of course, I did lose the GameStop lottery. I ordered 2 games. One of them came in its case with an old price on it. Not its original case, sorry, the GameStop case. The other one came with an NBA case, nondescript one that they turned inside out. And I was like, this game's $38. I don't want a disc only for $38. And it was the prototype game that's been hard to find, especially for PlayStation. And I was like, I'll get it for Xbox because I heard good things about it. And I was just like, I'll play the lottery just for that.
Yeah, I've
Part of my
gotten
order
lucky with the
them
lottery
because now
recently.
you have to order like $80 to get free shipping instead of $60. Did get another Princess Peach coin purse. So I have that. I completed getting the rest of the canvases, so I have Mario and Luigi, and
Nice.
then all the video files out here will hate me, but I bought GameStop brand converters because they were cheap for both regular AV and and component.
Okay,
Because
Steven, I
listen,
will.
listen. It's not for gaming. It's not for gaming. I have an old VCR, and if I want to look at a VHS tapes, I'm going to do it with that old converter because I don't care what quality it looks like.
I will say for VCR, just for watching, it is okay.
Yes.
It still makes me a little nauseous, and I will give up part of my equipment and send you something better as part of the Christmas gift. I don't use my RetroTink 2X anymore. It is so much better. I could just send you that.
No, I'm
and
fine.
Or
The
an
amount of
OSSC.
times
It does even more.
the amount of times I'm going to use those converters is less than physical games on the Switch 2 right now.
And you know how much that bugs me just because I have spent literally thousands of dollars on the equipment to make mine scale properly, including for a VCR.
I just need it so for an other device to display for something really quick.
Right.
So I was like, hey, when I was visiting my parents after my father passed away, I was like, oh, there's all these VHS tapes and stuff like that he left behind. I want to look through some of them. I need AV, so I was like, if I'm just viewing, it's okay. And if somebody ever has like, I don't know, an old video camera, I know I do have one. It's so old that it doesn't support HDMI; it supports components. So I was like, aha, I have another reason to use that too.
What video format is it? VHS-C?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, because I have adapters that let you play that in a VCR, so you can just put it in there, which is nice. Depending on the age of the films and stuff, I know we're kind of getting into the weeds for this, but if it ever comes down to it that they've got mold or anything like that or need to be cleaned, let me know. Either you can send them to me and I'll work on it and digitize them, or I'll send you the equipment so you can do it.
For the video camera, it's just onboard memory. It's one of those.
Gotcha. I can still figure something out with it.
So
I will help you figure it out.
So I think it'll be fine. I don't need to use it yet, but I needed to get their free shipping, and everything else was just not something that I didn't want to buy something just to buy something. So I was like, oh, I didn't know GameStop sold these. I'll buy a GameStop.
Well, yeah, they sell crap.
I'll buy a GameStop brand, probably Mad Catz converter. Like, who knows?
Mad Cats would be a step up from the ones I've seen. But anyways, because it's probably like the AV something on there, like AV Retro or whatever the name is, and I'm just like,
it's called like Game On or something like that. And it's like
yeah.
this big. It has a USB. You need to power it and stuff like that.
I'm about to say it needs to at least be powered because it has to be an active thing. If you're doing that, if anyone ever does that for gaming, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't ever get them. They're terrible for taking 480i signals and trying to output it as a 480p. So you get weird combing artifacts. The timing is off, so it also stretches. Sometimes it forces 16:9 and a 4:3. I can go on and on. I can't stand those.
Trust him. He's an engineer.
Yeah, I've got.
I sent him
arguments.
two recommendations for Switch games for his engineering background.
Probably.
No, I did. Did you see your Discord?
Oh, which ones were? I didn't see those. I thought you did.
For Switch, they made 2 games for the Switch called Engineer Puzzle Lab.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Where you have a circuit board and you have to get them all to work. And I was like, oh, wow, this is save room for Jeremy. It's just puzzles you can do on the go.
Are they physical or are these digital only?
They're digital only because they're only like $5, $10.
I will have them by tomorrow. I'm just gonna get them.
Like, if he buys them, I'm gonna get. What you been doing? How far did you get?
Yes, I will say it right now. I'm gonna buy those, especially if they're only like $5 each. I'll just go and grab both, and give them a run through by next week because that's gonna be hilarious.
He's gonna be like, I beat him in an hour.
Yeah, or I'm gonna be so upset. It's gonna be like, what was it? The drone game that I got years ago. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna love this," and I absolutely hated it. There's so many things wrong with it. Anyways, all right. So for myself, my friend Jason DeApril recommended a game called Wizordium to me. Wizordum. Took me a while to figure out how to spell that properly. But it's kind of a boomer shooter like Doom, but it's in a medieval space. So it's like Doom with magic.
Like Hexen or Heretic.
Right. I love the old school. It's like super bright and colorful. It's tons of secrets hidden in the maps. It's very fast paced. You can get different types of spells that you can, I can shoot fireballs, or I've got an ice wand. Like that's some of the earlier ones I found, and you can do charge hits with your weapons while you're dodging. I ended up playing it for a while. I bought that one on Steam. I kept debating on what I was going to buy it on, but I ended up getting it on Steam because it plays flawlessly on a Steam Deck. And then I plugged it into my TV in my bedroom, which is just a 1080p TV. So outputting from there, it plays flawlessly on that. And I kept playing it. Highly recommend that one because it's a lot of fun. And I got a good bundle on there that came with 2 other games that I haven't played yet. So I'll talk about those later once I actually get to kind of mess with them. But highly, highly recommend you give the Wizordium a try. Because I love the feeling of it and stuff. And it's also incredibly gory, but pixelated.
That's always good.
Yeah, and it's such a throwback because the environments are 3D, but all the 2D sprites of like bushes or things like that, as you go around them, they just turn. They're always front facing. Like it's very old school 3D worlds with that, and I kind of like that they did that. But you got to look. So many things are destructible. Like you can tear through bushes. You can find cracks in walls that you can break through to find things. There's lots of little. You find yourself almost like Wolfenstein 3D going around the wall, just hitting A as you're to find secrets, and you'll find pictures may open up a hallway and things like that. But this one, you can find secrets in the ceiling and the floor, because like you might uncover, like push a pillar and find something in the ground, or find a hatch and stuff, which is really cool. The map is really handy for a lot of that stuff as well. So that's a good one. I think it's like $15, $20. I think 20 normally, but you can get that on, PlayStation, Xbox. It's on the Switch, which it plays on Switch 2 via backwards compatibility, but they don't have any special updates. I'm hoping they add like a mouse mode, because I would double dip for this. There's supposed to be a physical release. I can find nothing about it. Nobody has any pre-orders or anything for it, but they had interviews with the people that made it only like 2 or 3 months ago saying there would be a physical release. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it'll probably be maybe somebody's gatekeeping it.
Maybe. I would say I'm having enough fun with this. I would double dip. I would have no problems whatsoever. And I kind of hope that's part of why I also bought it on Steam, because it'd have to be digital there anyways. So if I get it on a console and it's physical, it's less of a double dip. I kind of have it and can play it. Next up, I've been continuing Chibi Robo, which I don't know why. Like I've had this game. I still have this game on the GameCube, and I played it and enjoyed it. But for some reason, this time on Switch 2, I cranked it up and it's just clicked. I've played further than I think I ever have. I keep finding more stuff. It's like everything kind of makes sense. Like, okay, it's a great game. I really want it either remade or a new one in the series that plays like this one, because I can imagine how much bigger of a space or more detailed of a space you could get now comparatively. So fingers
we're
crossed.
gonna have to buy Chilling by the Fire, because that's where some of the guys left to do.
Okay, you know what? We're not getting a Chibi Robo. I'm not buying that damn game. It's just Star Wars Outlaws. I'm still continuing. I started to kind of get pushback while playing it because everything felt stuck in that first town until you finally kind of get out of there and it opens the world up. I haven't left the, I guess, second planet. The first planet is just the tutorial. So the first other planet you go to. But I've been already kind of messing with the different crime groups, the different crime bosses, and like finding out information and be like, hey, this person's trying to blackmail you, or that one's trying to kill you, and playing them against each other to try and get my ratings up so I can do more stuff to fix my ship to get the hell out of there. And if you're playing the game, if you can get through that first little bit and actually get onto your bike and get to go out and explore, the game opens up so much more. And I went from questioning if I'm going to keep playing it to, okay, I'm back in and enjoying it again. So that's good. Lots of Star Wars stuff in there, which is great. Even on the Switch 2, that game is shockingly gorgeous. Like, I can see the technical limitations, but man, they have really put the work in on this for how it runs. Like,
Yeah,
Ubisoft did a good job.
They did say that overall they would hope that would be the definitive edition.
Yeah, I mean, if it was an actual physical release, I would say that. But all in all, still playing the game. I got the key card one week just because I got a deal on it. That's the whole reason I got it. Otherwise, just get it digitally. It's fine. But it is worth playing on there. I can take my save to other versions, but I haven't picked those up yet because I'm still fighting with Ubisoft trying to disconnect an old Ubisoft account on my Xbox that I don't use anymore, so I can use the different one that I had on my Nintendo that I've had since like the Wii U era, because that's the one I stick to. And I'm having the same problem with Prince of Persia. I can't move my save over because of that too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, hopefully they'll fix it. As you saw in the beginning of the show, I got a new Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Just wanted to show that off because I just love these things. And then lastly, I fucking hate working on PlayStation stuff. I say that because I've been trying to do repairs for some people recently, and I was like, all right, they want the shell of this like special edition PlayStation 4 controller. I think it's from the Call of Duty 3 special edition console. They washed the controller, so that controller's dead. And I mean, like, they washed it in the washing machine. I don't know how you leave a controller. Maybe it was in a jacket. Just hope it wasn't in your pocket. How would you not notice that?
Deep pockets.
But either way, he washed it. Maybe it got stuck in the laundry and he just dumped the whole laundry in there. I don't know. But the controller was shot. Battery was swelling up. There's stuff built up on the board. I tried cleaning it, but it was just not going to work. So he gave me another controller and I was going to try and swap the guts out. And I found out, no, Sony has done multiple iterations on this and they have changed things just enough where they're not interchangeable at all. So like one of the boards has a screw hole in one side and they moved it to the other side, or the connector is just a little different. And I had to go and look, and there's like 3 different variations of it. So I have to find a particular original model PS4 controller to take the guts of it out to work in this, because they also changed the triggers, how the shell is shaped. Like there's so many little details that keep them from being fixable to each other. It's just, I've I have always found PlayStation's controllers to be such a pain in the ass to work on for like modifying or repairing.
Yeah, I fixed the trigger once, but I had to go find that spring.
Yeah, the spring and stuff. That's one thing. That's kind of the case for a lot of analog triggers like that. But
the way PlayStation had them held in there was not good at all.
Well, they have a lot of stuff like for PS5 controllers and even for PS4. All of their circuits are basically screen printed on a piece of plastic. So if anything happens to them, it just melts or breaks, rips, and it's hard to replace it because it's just pressure fit in there. So it's just, I know they're trying to keep people from modifying it, but it also made it difficult when I was trying to work on one to make it one-handed for someone who did not have function of his other hand and wanted to play his PS5 after an accident. That became a whole nightmare trying to adapt it because I had to fit things into the pressure fitting area to try and get buttons to come out. And yeah, just it's becoming a trend with PlayStation controllers. I can't stand working on their stuff. It's a pain in my ass. So, all right. Well, that's enough ranting and raving about that. I'm sure people have stopped listening. They're like, oh, he doesn't like PlayStation. It's like, I just don't like working on it. I'm fine with the hardware.
Our most popular short.
Yeah, that's probably going to be one of them. We had one of our shorts actually hit over 1,300 views. And then we had like 10 on the episode. Like, come on, watch the show, please. We love you. All right, let's go over to the group chat. So this week we're going to do something a little different because it's just the two of us, and we talked about this before. We're doing kind of a book club type thing, but we're assigning basically demos for us to try out and see. And this week, Steven, you had picked out Sonic Racing CrossWorlds for us to try, and we both did play around with it. The main game has come out. I played it on the Legion Go on the PC version, so I played it via Steam on that as handheld, and you played it on.
I've played the beta on Switch, and I decided to play the demo on PS5.
Okay. So I have to say, with this one, I'm not as big a fan of it. Like, it's a great looking game. It does control well, but I guess I'm just so used to Mario Kart that it feels kind of over too much stuff going on at one time while you're trying to race. I don't know. The control just felt off. I guess because I've been playing so much Mario Kart World and of course Mario Kart 8 Ultimate that I've played an ungodly amount of time on it.
Their commercial is fantastic though, where they make fun of Mario Kart World.
They brought that back from their old Super Nintendo actual one, which was great. But so what are your thoughts on this one? Like when you played the beta and the demo?
So, I guess I didn't notice it as much on Switch when I was playing it. But it became more prevalent in PS5 because it was the more finished build.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the single player build as well. So you couldn't just do like a simple exhibition race or anything like that. I like the you're kind of like your what do you call it? Like the person who's always after you, so you always have some kind of like
your rival.
Your rival. So you always have rivals, so I don't mind those. While their voices can get pretty repetitive, like Shadow's just like, "What power do you have?" and Sonic is just annoying because he's just like, maybe you'll be faster next time and stuff like that. Like he actually insults you. Those aren't too bad. Some of the stuff just seems like a lot of busy UI stuff they don't need. Like there's a meter that basically just tells you like, hey, we're going to teach you how long to hold your acceleration to get the same boost you'd have in Mario Kart. So we're going to have like a little golf meter for that. And they're like, instead of just having you rely on colors when you drift like you would in Mario Kart, we're going to give you a meter. And I was just like, can I turn that off?
So many meters.
But I do like how it controls. It controls really nice. It's probably my favorite controlling Sonic racing game thus far, but not my favorite visual one because they're trying to be transformed, but they're just not going all Sega with it. They're going mostly all Sonic, and all the guest stars are just coming in with a track or so they're trying to make like Smash Brothers Racers or something like that, or they're borrowing off of their competitor that's blurred out in their commercial.
I think that was my thing as well. I wasn't so much trying to compare it to Mario Kart, but I was in my mind comparing it a lot to Transform, because that one I played a lot. I really liked that
What
one.
I don't like, and it's probably my biggest gripe with the game, is the gadgets, because the gadgets seem like they install some kind of like they get rid of any kind of good competition you could have with friends, because somebody might just have all these gadgets attached to their cart that just makes it so that you can't be faster than them, or your drifts will never be charged as fast as theirs, because that's the first gadget you get, is your drifts gather power faster. And I found, especially instead of CCs, they give you how fast do you want to go, sonic speed, fast speed, and stuff like that. Is the there wasn't too much rubber banding. It was just like, nope, the computer's just cold. Like, if the computer's ahead, you're not catching up. Nope.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to give you the ability, like a bullet bill type situation or anything, to get you back up there. And the items are pretty lackluster because you don't know how most of them even work. You're just like, what is it? What? I had no idea that a chow was the boost. Like, how am I supposed to know that? You have this little king looking guy who tells you everything else, and I was just like, this is great and all that you're telling me how to play the game, but why don't you tell me what like the items are? Something that I really need to know while I'm racing. I know accelerate, brake, drift. I've played enough character racing games for that. You don't need to tell me again, Sega, but you do need to tell me what these items do.
That's one of those reasons I really miss instruction manuals. So
you know,
I know these are demos, but
eventually when this comes out on an actual cartridge, they said this time, and not a key card, next year on Switch 2, I think I'll pick it up for that, because I do like character racing games, but probably not right away, just because it's a very busy game, and I want to either wait until the rest of their DLC comes out and then see what I want to do from there.
I kind of wonder if they're going to...
a lot of games coming out in February, so...
Yeah. I do wonder with this one if it's going to eventually have a complete edition, if they're going to ever think to do something like that. I guess probably not, just because of the licenses required. Because what, Mega Man was just announced, Minecraft...
I know the collector's editions are all through limited run. And one thing I have found out through threads and Reddit threads and stuff like that, and other people who've done their research, is a lot of their games won't be compatible with Switch 2 upgrades. So
such a weird thing.
So I'm wary of I canceled my Yakuza Kiwami order from them, even though Kiwami 1 is all on cart for Switch 1. It's now coming out for Switch 2 on a key card, but you can't upgrade, so you have to get it, or you have to buy it digitally. And yeah, so yeah, Sonic Racing is really good. If they could have taken stuff they got from Transformed, like getting to play as Skies of Arcadia and Panzer Dragoon, but now Mega Man's really cool and all, but like SpongeBob, Turtles, what are you doing?
Minecraft, yeah, that's still kind of a weird one as well. So yeah, it feels like such an opportunity. What they did with Transform, like you said, it's celebrating Sega itself with all the different things they've got, especially because they're pushing that initiative, which I don't know if we've seen much about since they announced it, of trying to revive so many of their other series. They could have used this as a way to show those off, or at least connected to them more.
Yeah, it would have been perfect. Like, here's the models that are going to be in the games. It's
like Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, like all of those both of those would make really good races, like racers, tracks, all that stuff would have been great to include in there.
Especially Crazy Taxi.
Right. Like, why was that not one of the drivers? Like, that would have been great. So yeah, I think it's going to be popular with a lot of people. I've seen a lot of the arguments people are trying to have, like, oh, this, they're also kind of fueled on by the ad. I guess some people take it too seriously. I thought it was hilarious because it throws back to the old Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo ad, which is, it's funny to see them be cheeky about it now, even though they're probably well aware the Switch 2 is probably going to be the version that sells the most out of a lot of these. Between that and PC, I think will be the two big ones. I don't know. I wanted to like it more. I'm going to give it more of a shot once it comes out, but I think I'm going to wait for the Switch 2 version to come out and get that cart. And hopefully they'll have had time to tweak it and kind of update a lot of the stuff by the time that comes out. So.
Oh, and I want to warn everybody who plays the demo.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they sing that it's the final lap is the most cringy, grating thing they could have done. Where you just hear all the ladies say "final lap, final lap." I'm like, shut up!
Yeah. Also, why we could have gotten a Daytona USA track or something. There's so many things that Sega could have stuck with this.
Maybe they're saving that for later.
I don't know. Like their VR racing would have been fun too.
Writes itself.
So many things. But hey, you get the airboards back, so that's at least from one of the old Sonic racing games.
From the Kinect.
Yeah. Well, I think it predated that as well because it wasn't. Not every version had that one, but it was usable.
Sonic was just like, I'm going to try to be Kirby, and they're like, no.
Oh man. All right, so let's jump over to our first little news section. So, PocketPair has announced Palworld Palfarm just 11 days after Nintendo announced Pokopia. It's a farming game where you use your pals to farm using their abilities, build a location, and more, which sounds really, really familiar. Though this one will have a multiplayer cooperative part, which I don't think Pokopia does.
It does.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. The timing of this seems almost intentional, given the recent announcement, as well as the current Nintendo lawsuit that they are having over Palworld and the patents for gameplay. So, I don't know. I watched the trailer for it, and I haven't been the biggest fan of Palworld to begin with. Did you have any thoughts on this one, or at least the weird timing of it all?
Yeah, it just sounds way too intentional. Like, it's one thing if you're going to make your own cozy game to be in the ethos sphere of Animal Crossing, but 11 days after, you're like, oh yeah, we have a game where just the creatures are around, but you can show up as a human saying, what are you doing? And stuff like that. Oh, yours is different because it has a human that is basically like the nanny in Muppet Babies that just shows up and is useless.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's going to sell well. Some people are cheering for this one to destroy Pokemon. And I need to remind people that no matter your feeling on this, no matter how well Palworld or this game does, they're not going to destroy Nintendo. Nintendo's going to be just fine.
Yeah, there's people who think the Pokopia looks adorable, and there's people who I saw reactions when they saw this one, and they're like, where's the AK-47s?
I saw like some of the responses I saw. I was like, some people were actually thinking this would financially ruin Nintendo, and I'm like, you have no idea or concept of how that works, because they could do absolutely fantastic, and Pokopia could completely fail, and Nintendo would not even bat an eye. Like, they will just go sell another Pokemon card set, and they will make all the money back and then some. From scalpers and everything else, sadly.
But PocketPair, stop flying so close to the sun. Like,
I'm wondering, do you think PocketPair will go so far as to try and make a card game? Do you think they have the balls to try and do that?
No, but I feel eventually they're going to make a sequel to Palworld, and they're going to use letters. Like, instead of X and Y, we're going to get like Z. I don't know, A to Z.
A to Z, yeah.
I see that coming. Like, eventually they have to make a Palworld 2, and they're like, well, with all the stuff we can't put in it, this is what we came up with, and then the title's just going to scream Pokemon again.
I guess they can't. They wouldn't really be. If they tried to use ZA, that would be just.
We have to remember that the creator said his whole like way of developing was seeing stuff that worked and copying it. So, and he just said he had no gripes if he copied it completely. He said he doesn't care. So he wasn't borrowing ideas. He wasn't making it his own. He was literally just like using the AI approach, which is just like, you made this? I made this.
I was about to say the same thing. It's like a lot of the people that defend Palworld for how much they copy stuff are probably the same people that will defend AI as an art form. And I'm air quoting the hell out of that because it's not. It's just someone who can type a little bit and then thinks they made something. So yeah,
because it just reminds me, which unfortunately you see it a lot more on the Nintendo eShop than you do PlayStation Store and stuff. Because I do think the other UIs are a little bit more organized, but you can always tell what's the hot game on Steam. Like if everybody's playing like only Up, then suddenly there's like I can only go up game on Switch for $3, and it looks like stolen assets. And then there was Chained Together on Steam, and then suddenly you get like I'm chained and I am together on Switch. And then recently, because Supermarket Simulator took off on Steam from this one developer, and that's the only game he's made, I checked. There's Pokemon, there's TCG Simulator, there's Supermarket Simulator, there's Border Crossing Simulator, and I was like, stop.
It gets ridiculous to that point. All right, let's go on to our next one here. Oh, I don't like this one. Electronic Arts may be going private with a near $50 billion deal with Silver Lake, which is Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, and Jared Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners. So, yeah, that's not just a whole bunch of... If successful, this would be the largest leveraged buyout of a company in history. With the firm has been trying to sports wash, basically, some people have used the term, or in this case, game wash, as it was put, I think, on Kotaku's article, their image to cover their human rights violations by previous investments in Nintendo, Activision, Blizzard, Capcom, Nexon, and more. They also have outright purchased SNK, which was led them to force a soccer player as a fighter in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. So basically, they're wanting to outright buy EA, bring it back to being privately owned by them, which we don't know how that would affect their gameplay beyond that, which this investment group, or both of them, have been trying to do this with a lot of companies to kind of be like, hey, if we own the media side of it, then you'll have to work with us because you want to have your content. You want to be able to play these things, which means it would be, they would control Madden, which I wonder how that would go with the rights for the actual Madden. If he's still shown in there, like
Ronaldo would be a secret team,
right? Or it would be Ronaldo as Madden. Like they would just dress him up with the hair and everything.
Yeah,
Give him that
Ronaldo
70s hair.
There you go.
God, terrifying. I worry about people kind of forgetting about a lot of this stuff going on and just saying like, oh, they're going to buy it and EA can do these things. EA will not have control over what they do for a lot of this stuff. Like, yeah, now they have to listen to investors and they can hear somebody yelling at them to make something or not do something. But in this case, they have to do what's being told by this group, and that's going to be it. So if there are certain games or content that EA makes that they don't agree with, that will go on the wayside. Whatever deals they've got going on in the background for stuff, especially with control of the sports titles and other stuff, they are going to have the final say-so in that. So if there are sports teams that they don't agree with, they may get removed from the games or, and things like that, and how their tournaments go. So I'm very worried about this one because I don't want to see that continue.
On a lighter note, if anybody's made any memes yet where they took the voice and it's just like UAE, it's in the bank or something like that.
Oh God, maybe.
But ever since Ubisoft sold out, like you don't hear from them a lot, so it's weird.
Yeah. And like I said, with the ones with, their other investments for companies, they keep buying up little bits of it. And I wonder at what point, if they try and push for other ones, because like these guys have got so much money and so much power, they could try and just, they probably couldn't outright buy out Nintendo, but they could damn well try for a lot of that stuff.
Because the people who own Ubisoft right now, something like Assassin's Creed Shadows suddenly got a Saudi Arabia expansion, which made no sense. But then everybody was like, oh, now it does make sense. But they had nothing this whole summer. They had no Ubisoft Forward. They had nothing to like announce. But then they're just like, oh, we're finally let out. And we're letting you know that we're doing an expansion for Saudi Arabia in Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I was just like, everybody's like, wait, what? I was like, well, at least now you took the attention away from the characters being controversial. And now you're just like, why is Saudi Arabia in feudal Japan?
Yeah, we announced this game to be all about Japan. So here we are, not in Japan. that's no. Oh God. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this one and see where it goes in the future, but hopefully it's not going to be. I would hope this deal does not go through for multiple reasons, because I don't think it would benefit anybody, especially for something as large as EA being gobbled up, because there's so many games over the decades that people play that they have control over.
Yeah, it
That
remains to be seen, because it seems nowadays all these deals can go through as long as they've had some guy's pocket right now.
yeah, and they are very good at that, sadly. All right, let's go over to some of our Sony State of Play, I guess. I was going to say pre-TGS, but that's kind of what it was. All right, so Sony PlayStation State of Play that we had this week. We're just going to kind of go over bits of this because there was a lot of announcements this week. We're not going to cover all of them. There's too much stuff.
Maybe more highlights next episode, but right now it's just the highlights. The big guys.
And some of these we're just going to kind of go through quickly. But to start us off, we had Saros, which is coming out March 20th, 2026. This is a new game from House Marquee, which is the makers of Returnal and many other titles. This one looks more like a single-player type shooter, but not one where you're constantly retrying things, but they still have that really good shooter action. Gorgeous-looking game. A lot of brown. Kind of hoping there's more color. But you do get the color, I guess, from the
blue, and now we're getting very brown. So House Marquee is awesome.
I think they have more of a bland art style, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because like the bullets and attacks and other things are the flashes of color, and it makes those pop more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because like when they showed the shield you were using, like it really stuck out, and you'd see the fire coming back and forth and absorbing stuff, because you want to be able to notice that instead of it getting lost in the background like some games have. So I think this one's also going to be part of their 30th anniversary celebration. So it's good to see more of that coming out from them, but we'll go from that. Now,
we'll cover a little bit later how horrible Sony is at celebrations.
Yes, we will. And very confusing announcements. Next, we have Zero Parades for Dead Spies. This one's coming for PS5 and PC in 2026. I was kind of interested, and now I'm a little bit off-put by some controversy around this one. This is a successor to Disco Elysium, but the original creator, Robert Kurvitz, and other developers were removed from the company after that game was made and had access to the world and stories that they had created removed. So now this has kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, because this is being made as that successor to Disco Elysium, a lot of the same gameplay and so forth, and exploring that world without that creator being able to do anything with it, kind of forced out. It's like taking something from Stephen King and one of his things and then not letting him write or do anything in that world again. Like something was not right with that. And I love Disco Elysium. I think have you played that one before?
I haven't played it though yet.
It's a lot of fun. It played well on Switch. It was kind of rough. It plays a little better on Switch too. But I think I also have it on PC, so I'll mess with it more on there. I love the fact that you would constantly be kind of making these weird choices as you're going through stuff and rolling the dice to see what kind of stuff could happen. Bug right there. All right. Anyways. My favorite one was being like, I rolled the dice on this like really low chance to do something and ended up punching a kid in the nose, which was just absolutely hilarious because he would not shut up. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to take the chance. And it was like, I had to roll like this perfect roll, and I managed to nail it. And he just socks him in the nose, and you hear him just, and he falls over. So I kind of fell in love with the game after that, going like, oh, okay, no, you can do just about all this crazy stuff if you're just lucky enough. And I kind of feel like this is going to continue that, but I'm wondering how different it's going to feel outside those mechanics. It's a weird controversy in that regard, I guess.
Yeah, they'll probably change the name. Zero royalties for developers.
Yeah, I could see that. Let's click on there. All right, so after that, we had a Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 announced for PlayStation 5, getting VR support. So I guess screw us Xbox players, because Microsoft wouldn't support VR, even though they could have made a deal with somebody or something to get support for it. but they said it's not going to be needed. So I got this game on Xbox, and I do enjoy it. But I would like the VR side of it, but I can't get that because there's no VR headset. Am I salty? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm not too proud to say that. I'm a little annoyed by this. I don't mind other people playing the game. It's not like Flight Simulator has been everywhere for decades. But come on, Microsoft. Like, what is wrong with you people? You keep screwing over your own player base. The game looked great, though. We'll talk about it a little bit later during the Microsoft part of it, but they also announced some more content that came out for this one. So even if you already have the game, there's whole new spots you can visit and things you can do, but who knows? Next up, we had Battlefield 6. We finally got to see the single player mode. This is coming out October 10th. So no word on if it was co-op capable, but at least it's nice to know that if you get into Battlefield 6, there is a single player you can play. So it's not just multiplayer like we were kind of wondering before. Because we played during one of the betas, and I think we enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. Steven would just randomly run off and die. And I kept trying to be like, quit running off, and you just do it.
I didn't know we were taking. I didn't know it was taking from our pool of characters. That was funny.
That was hilarious. I kept getting sniped for like stupid distances. Oh man. So I'm thinking about giving this one a try. I don't think I'm gonna pick it up on October 10th. I might give it a little bit of time just because I have so many other games right now to play that I don't know if I want to pick up a whole Battlefield. I haven't even finished all of Call of Duty yet.
So you know, a lot of developers won't or publishers won't like to hear me say this, but I always tell people anything that's coming out closer to Halloween, might as well wait because Black Friday deals are sure to come along, and I've seen games that have just come out drop $20. So if in the last 3 months of the year is the best time to wait on every single release, unless you feel the FOMO, the fear of missing out is so intense that you'll be spoiled.
Or it's from Nintendo.
Everything else,
it's almost never on
just
sale.
wait, just wait. Like they'll have a deal.
Yeah, and I guess in that case, even sometimes Nintendo games do. Not as often, but they might.
Yeah, Battlefield, mark my words, will have a deal.
Oh yeah. I don't know if this was like last generation. I think we would have had a Battlefield 6 bundle. I think we would have done that because we really haven't got as many bundles this generation as we used to. Because I don't know.
So far, Switch 2 is the only one that started out of the gate saying like Mario Kart and Pokemon. So it's like, here you go.
We get them on occasion, but like even nowadays, when you get a special edition system, they don't always come with the game that they're for, which is weird.
The Yotai PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro does not come with it. They do sell the covers, but they made them extremely limited, which is mean.
Yeah, and they don't support anyone that still has the old original PS5.
I'm just glad I got my red one. That's all I wanted.
I didn't even get that. I just wanted a green one, and they never made one. I would have bought it. I wanted green. I'll have to see how your red one looks, though. I'm sure it's pretty nice. So here is the remaster that people are really looking at weird. Deus Ex Remastered, coming for Xbox, Switch, PS5, and PC February 5th, 2026. I think my favorite thing that someone said about this that says it all, it looks like the 1990s Deus Ex game was remade with the Doom 3 engine. It's just the way it looks. Like they just up the polygons a little bit.
There's people that are tentatively waiting for what will be wrong with this game because Aspire has gotten a bad track record in recent
good point
times. Like they got a leg up. I think they worked on Legacy of Kain, so they kind of got like a thumbs up there. But their Star Wars track record hasn't been very good. Where it's just like we had to fix this and we promised this, but all this DLC is going to be missing. So it's like,
oh yeah, Knights of the Republic 2 they completely botched. I think
so it's like don't do that to Deus Ex. If you're like we can't fit anything in there, it's like people will be mad.
I think it's just because the way the game originally was. This is such a weird mid-step for graphical fidelity. Like they've made some characters more detailed, but they're still stuck to old animations. And I think a lot of that is why I love that comment that they had made about it just being like they remade it in Doom 3's engine. Because it looks like it.
Because the remake pictures also looked like they took Roblox characters and just like put a little skin of the Deus Ex characters over it, and I'm like, why does that look blockier?
Like, and I don't know if they showed this or not, because I watched the trailer a few times. Like, I don't know if you can change the graphics back and forth, if you can play it in original mode and the enhanced. Then I could kind of understand why this is the case. Because that's what happened with like Turok and some of those other games that were remade, where you could switch back and forth and look at, how it was. So you have to run the old game, so you can't add too much crazy stuff on
And I
top
think
of it.
that's why I like Night Dive even more, though, because they seem to know what not to touch.
If Night Dive did this, it would look amazing.
Yeah, if Night Dive
Sorry to Aspire, but
you'd be like, sold, but we're Aspire, and we're like, hold on.
Yeah, let's just wait a minute.
So we'll see how it performs when it comes out.
I'm waiting for the Night Dive remake of the Aspire remake. That's what I want. That's when it gets good. All right. So next up, we had Halloween the Game coming September 8th, 2026. For a moment, I was like, oh, cool. We'll have this, maybe we'll get this before that.
By next Halloween.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while. You can play as a civilian survivor to try and save others by, trying to get them out of the house to certain spots or call the cops and do things. Or you can play as Michael Myers himself to try and kill everybody, who can semi-teleport. Like, you can go into shadows and disappear and pop up in other spots. And
I'm just glad that they're playing with a single player aspect, because they've learned from their games, Texas Roadhouse Massacre, Texas Roadhouse, wow, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm hungry. Can you tell?
Me too. I didn't eat dinner before this.
And Friday the 13th. So both of those IllFonic, and since they couldn't be in Dead by Daylight, they were their own games that were the the 4v1s and stuff like that. But this is something new, where I was like, finally, like, it always had to be, you had to play as the villain against other players, but sometimes, like, what if you just wanted to play as the villain? So I was like, sweet, like, this might turn out to be really good. So if you're going to take until next Halloween, pretty much, please make it good.
The game looked really good already.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked, like, they really used that late 70s art style for a lot of it, which was good. Felt like it was being pulled from the movie for a lot of the cases, so it can only go up from here, I would hope. Michael Myers himself looked fantastic, and I want to see
because some of these things I just worry, because, like, what happened with Friday the 13th is the original rights holders took all the rights back, and they suddenly just had to take the game offline and not sell it anymore and delist it.
Yeah.
So it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it kind of destroyed that whole thing. All right. After that, we had Nioh 3 coming February 6, 2026, which just looked really bloody and really actiony.
More Soulsborne.
Yeah, I tried the first one, and I just, once again, Soulsborne, tried it. Didn't really click, but I know there's a lot of people that really enjoy these, so good for you. Enjoy. Next, we had Dynasty Warriors 2 Complete Edition Remastered, coming for PS5, Series X and S, Switch 1 and 2, as well as PC, coming March 19th, 2026. Sadly, Chase is not here to absolutely lose it and rant and rave about how much he loves these games.
The original had some of the most off-the-cuff, craziest voice acting in English, because this is before they decided to go back to having just the subtitles. So I'm hoping that they kept the original audio, but I doubt it.
Yeah, they probably dumped that as fast as they could. The game looks really cool, and I'm shocked at, like, how many different systems they're bringing it out on. But what I want to know is, like, they announced that the Switch 2 version is going to be locked at 30 FPS, because the developers said they could have called down the amount of people to get it to 60, but then it kind of defeated the purpose of how many, because there's going to be, they said, thousands of people. Like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, because they started that with Origins. They said there's too many on screen, so they had to lock it at 30. So maybe because this one has more time. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I would rather, I think in this case, keep the amount of people, if that's what they're going for, and lock it at 30 so it's consistent, than trying to push it beyond that or thin it out, because then you end up with.
I think something that can hurt these Musu games is when they have lag or slowdown. So definitely to do that.
I think my favorite example of that is like trying to call back stuff to keep the frame rate was Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop on the Wii. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I
Where,
love that one. It plays like Resident Evil 4.
but it's so empty because there's so few zombies in there. Like you see so many
Because
things
it's
pop in.
Resident Evil 4.
I would rather have had a consistent lower frame rate with a bunch of stuff. Like that's just going to be more fun for these type of
I
games
just
because
liked that they removed the timer too, so I was like, yay.
that was a weird one. That's such an oddball version to play. Um, but I want to know like if that's what's happening with Switch 2, on Switch 1, what is the frame rate going to be, and are they having to call it back even more? Because it feels like Switch
Well, they're
1 just
saying
shouldn't be
Switch 1
released.
because that's the frame rate. 1.
I just, I don't know how that's going to
I
go.
guess the best thing you can do is Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends is on Switch 1. So play that and let us know what you think.
There you go. All right. After that, we had Let It Die Inferno coming December 3rd for PS5 and PC. This was a very weird looking presentation and game itself. Some guy in a very cheesy, cheap looking death mask, which was kind of funny. But the game itself looked kind of crazy. Have you ever played any of this series? Because apparently this is a sequel.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It looks hectic. I guess when you die, it's just your spine that goes up and you get spawned back into a new body to try and go down and build it up. And it feels kind of roguelike-y for a lot of the stuff, but I need to look a little bit more into the gameplay. But I don't know. It's flashy as heck, but I couldn't really understand exactly what they were doing from what I saw in a little bit.
So they got their point across. Okay.
Exactly. Afterwards, we had Chronoscript, The Endless End, which I don't know why that name just annoys me. It's like The Endless End. No, that's just continuing. PS5 and PC in 2026. This game looks like it kind of borrows some of the mechanics and gameplay ideas from the Plucky Squire of all things, because you're jumping in and out of a 2D playfield like a paper map on a desk. But then you're interacting in the 3D space of like ink wells and things hitting the paper.
Yeah, it reminded me of also another game called The Pedestrian, where it was like a platformer, but you could only move between street signs. And it was doing some of the same thing where like these photos laying on the ground were the only things that you could go through. But then if there was like somebody spilled ink or blood, that they could swim through that to another area. And I was like, all right.
And don't get me wrong, this one did intrigue me. I liked how it looked. It looked like it was a fun, almost like a Metroidvania style game, possibly with that mix. And I liked the art style they went with, very drawn, sketched design. So this one I'm going to keep an eye out and see, just to kind of mess around with it. But now for my favorite stupid little thing, we have the Pulse Elevate wireless speakers. We have no idea how much these are going to cost because Sony didn't say a word. I looked it up. Even on their website, they don't indicate it. It's not coming out until possibly next year. But basically, it's desktop speakers that can wirelessly connect to your PS5 or your PC through a USB dongle that you have to move back and forth to connect to it. Or if you have the PlayStation Portal, it can directly connect to that because this uses their very proprietary audio format, which is why you can't use traditional Bluetooth with the Portal as well. So you have a PlayStation Portal, Steven. Are you going to buy these speakers?
No. But one of the things they said in it that I just rolled my eyes is I know there's going to be the loyalists. You know who you are out there. who saw when it said built-in mic with AI enhanced noise reduction. You're like, oh, Sony innovating every step of the way. I was like, that's the first thing you learn about on the Switch too. So I was just like, guys are morons if you just say like they're just ahead of the game. No, they're not. They're just wanting more money because they're not selling enough PlayStation Portal.
Which noise cancellation for that stuff, or for removing the background, wasn't first a Nintendo thing, but
I know, but in the gaming world, to tout that in the trailer, I was like, doing what Nintendo said, and somehow some people are going to be like, "Wow, I'm so glad Sony's on the forefront of technology and always ahead of the game."
I mean, there's people that, you know, the rumors of the PS6 being a portable Switch-like device that are gonna probably say like, "Oh, Sony's doing this the first time. You can take your console and walk off with it." No
You know what?
one's ever done
PlayStation
that.
6 is an edible. You eat it and then you play the games in your stomach.
Yeah, it's probably an edible if you're tripping that hard. But yeah, these speakers, which they're in black, but they'll also be available in white, but only for a limited time. So
Oh boy.
spend your money
Well, they
now.
could.
Got to add that FOMO.
Surely they couldn't announce something worse than this.
Yeah, they did. God of War 20th anniversary PS5 DualSense controller, which is basically a DualSense controller with a red stripe and no game announcements to go along with it.
Yeah, if you thought you were going to get a God of War remake right after that, you were sorely mistaken and then pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, you got another angry guy with blades. I just anything for God of War. Like there could have been anything they could have added for this, and we got nothing, which is
this
surprising.
I'm trying to think. Is this the first controller that doesn't have anything to go with it? No other announcements?
I think so. Most of the time when a controller's announced, it's usually a collector's edition.
Like even the PlayStation anniversary controller had themes and sales and like a celebration behind it. This one's just like, we found this and we wiped our blood on one side. Like,
yeah, someone got busy with a marker and now
nobody's
we're
buying
selling
white controllers, but white with a stripe. Genius.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in that one. So last thing they showed was Marvel's Wolverine coming fall 2026 from Insomniac Games. This one I was really loving how it looks because they are not afraid to be violent as hell. He is stabbing people through the head, cutting off limbs, doing all kinds of stuff. But they did announce Logan or Wolverine will be voiced by Liam McIntyre, who played JD Phoenix in Gears of War 4 and 5, which is hilarious. He's also played other comic book characters in the past in both TVs and movies. He was Aquaman and Captain Boomerang in some DC animated films, as well as live action Weather Wizard on CW Flash.
That's not ruined for him now.
Well, that's why when I saw him, I was like, where do I know this guy from? And you mentioned JD Phoenix, and I was like, okay, I recognize the voice from that, but I know his face. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, aha, that's where I've seen him from. Because I watched The Flash. I like that show, and I remember his character. But yeah, I kind of wish his voice was a little rougher with Logan. It seems because it's kind of a higher pitch to it than I'm used to hearing from a lot of the traditional Wolverine voice actors. So I'm trying to remember the other guys. Not Steve Burns, is it? But I can't remember his voice. The voice
Steve
actor.
Burns,
Okay, no, I did remember.
Because I think, and then there's a guy who's really old who's in the X-Men '97.
Yeah.
And then don't forget also Mark Hamill.
Oh yeah, he did Wolverine.
He did Wolverine in X2 Wolverine's Revenge.
Oh god, I did not know that. Okay. Wow. But the game itself is looking really good. I had a concern when we first watched the trailer because they had a scene where he's like sliding down a building and jumping, and I was like, they had him leap, which Wolverine can jump. He can do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
but
I don't want Spider-Man traversal in this game, and it looks like it's probably gone.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how many boxes he'll have to break.
I'm sure there'd be tons of boxes to break. And there can be some climbing. It won't be as Spider-Man level, but like it's not unheard of for him to just use his claws to climb up things. Like he does that. But I'm glad when I watched it more later that worry of trying to use Spider-Man's movement kind of went away because he's supposed to have weight to him. His bones are covered in this heavy metal, and you know he's a short little chunky dude. Which I guess he's not the super short version of this one. He's not comic accurate.
It's somewhere in the middle because he was shunted. So I was like, I appreciate the size.
Yeah. So at least we're not getting the comically accurate one that they had in Deadpool and Wolverine, where it was just the super short one. I was like, okay, we're not going to that point. They had a lot of characters show up in the trailer. We saw Omega Red, who's the main villain that they showed a lot. I don't think he's going to be the main villain in the story, but he's the one that they showed off. Mystique was shown. There was possible hints she might be playable for some scenes, which would make sense because in the Spider-Man games, you would play as Mary Jane or other people sometimes. So that's not unheard of for Insomniac to do that. So I'm calling it now. I'm thinking there's going to be Mystique levels you have to play as her.
And I'm calling it now. There's going to be Sabretooth DLC.
I was going to say Sabretooth has to be in here somewhere.
Because they're going to pull like a Venom DLC where you got to play as Venom and Spider-Man. So they're probably going to do a Sabretooth DLC because it just makes sense.
Do you think we're going to get Silver Samurai? Because they did say you're going to Japan. We have to have...
I think we're going to get both Silver Samurai and Lady Deathstrike.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that. They did show one Sentinel, so I'm sure you're going to get to fight one of those, which looked pretty good. Just a different take on the design, but it did lean towards the comic coloring code for it, for the purple and all that. And Sentinels have had such a variety over the decades. There's so many different versions you can pull from. So it's kind of shocking they can come up with another one that does not look exactly like something else. So that's good. Yeah. And then I think a lot of the enemies you see are a group called the Reavers, which started off as a bunch of people that survived after Wolverine was done with them, and they had limbs replaced and things like that. And I saw a lot of the characters with like robotic arms and other stuff as well. Which, don't worry, they're not doing that just because like, oh, you can cut the robot arm off and it's violence without the blood, because they proceed to cover him in blood while they're stabbing through people's heads, tearing the fleshy arms off.
That was nice to see.
Cleaved a guy in half.
The one guy who got basically it through the head.
Right through the head.
Okay. I was like, we're getting somewhere.
So, I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. Insomniac has proven they're really good with a lot of their comic book games. The Spider-Man ones are some of my favorites.
Just do not give us Spider-Man DLC.
Those two getting together is usually pretty funny, but
because if they give Spider-Man DLC, that means like the engine of going around is in there, and I'm like, cameo, sure, but don't make him playable, please.
I don't think they're going to be going. They're not going to be making a new engine. I guarantee this is using the same engine. You can change the mechanics of how it works for different stuff without, throwing that all out.
Just keep it grounded. Keep it where, Wolverine does his best work. He's the best at what he does.
True. But like, you could use that engine to bring in other characters, because like Spider-Man's ability to jump and move around and so forth, they could throw Nightcrawler in and use some of that for him, or, they could bring other X-Men in as side characters, or just to at least have them in there. I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think it's going to wander that far off from Wolverine, other than Mystique, I think, is the only one I can confidently say I think we're going to get. That'll hopefully hers will play better than the Mary Jane sections.
Hopefully he has a bed he can lay in so he can stare at a photo, and then I'm sold.
Oh, of course we're going to have costumes are going to be all throughout there. We've seen Logan on his normal outfit with the plaid shirt and the hat. You get the more updated yellow and blue suit. I want the brown suit. That is like my favorite look of Wolverine they've ever done. And that's the one I hope they really have in here. But I have a feeling Insomniac loves to put comic references. I'm sure they're going to make their own weird Insomniac Wolverine suits. They did that with Spider-Man for some reason, and some of those were terrible. Guys, what were y'all thinking? What you did with Miles Morales? Some of that is just horrible. He had some good costumes, man. So, I don't know. I'm excited for this one. I will definitely be picking it up next year. They showed everything on PS5 Pro. I want to see how it runs on a normal PS5, because I'm not buying a Pro yet.
45 frames. Oh, I don't know.
Who knows? I'm sure it'll run fine. They do really good patches for that. So we'll see. All in all, the state of play was kind of to me. Like, there were some nice things, but I'm not, and that's kind of for all of TGS. There's not things I'm like hugely excited about this year. But what about you? What are your general thoughts on this one?
Stop announcing hardware, because every time you do, it's stupid. Like accessories, all your accessories suck, and they make no sense. But this one, like, you had a good one more thing, so that was good. Something that we were teased about and leaks happened and everything like that. Maybe forced your hand, but what I saw was nice and polished. So
yeah,
happy.
I do agree. It's very weird though that their one more thing was right after the God of War controller because you're like, oh, we're gonna get God of War. No, what? So, all right, let's go over and talk about Xbox,
which was at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I did not watch this live. I was not getting up for that.
I did not either.
We just we'll watch the highlights. So Xbox Tokyo Game Show broadcast. We're just going to cover a couple highlights once again, just like we did for PlayStation, which Sony had released theirs, and right before I think the beginning of TGS, which they knew timing wise was going to be a bit. Microsoft decided to wait until actual TGS. First thing we had was Gungrave Gore Blood Heat, coming for Series X and S, PS5, and PC, which is a remake of the 2002 PS2 title, which is a third-person action shooter. Once again, another game that Chase absolutely loves, but he's not here to talk about. So, Steven, I think you've messed with this a little bit more. Do you want to kind of explain it a bit?
It's one of those third-person shooters, but it's one of those where your guy is extremely powerful, so it's very anime-esque. You can even see it where he stops like an attack with his coffin, because he carries a coffin on his back, which is actually another type of gun / shield. But it's very stylish. So just think, kind of, instead of flipping around like Dante, you're doing more just like poses on the ground with your weapons, and it's done very well because the way he shoots everywhere and stuff. They were incredible on PS2. They were weird on VR.
Yeah. I returned that one. I didn't like it so much.
I need to get the Switch one just because I haven't heard anything bad yet. It just looked rough, but I want to see what that one's like too.
Maybe it runs better on Switch too. Who knows?
Maybe.
All right. After that, we had Monster Hunter Story series is coming to Xbox, with 1 and 2 releasing for Xbox One and Series X and S on November 13th. And then, of course, Monster Hunter Stories 3, which was announced on the last Nintendo Direct, is also coming out on PlayStation 5, PC, and Series X as well. I think that's next year when that comes out. So it's kind of nice being able to catch up and see those, because those are a lot of fun. Some people really enjoy those. They're kind of fun little action RPGs to mess around with and raise your monsters.
Capcom love.
Yeah. Because we're going to talk about later, Microsoft is not getting love from many people right now. It's kind of gotten a little rough there. Next up, we had Hotel Barcelona, which is out now. It's a side-scrolling roguelike hack and slash from Swery, who has worked on Deadly Premonition, D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die, as well as Suda 51. Of course, we know from No More Heroes and Lollipop Chainsaw. This one looks like we can play it cooperatively as well as single player, but it's just absolutely bonkers.
It also looks like it should have been released on Xbox Live Arcade back on
PC. Which I'm okay with. I like that art style sometimes if it's used right.
I'm not sure. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be what they call janky. So I was like,
I meant to look up earlier how much it is, but this is one I eventually want to at least try out. It kind of seems like something up my alley on that. It is, I think, an Xbox Play Anywhere. So if you buy it digitally, you can also play it on PC. I think
it was out now, because I thought he said wishlist now.
That's what I thought he said too, but then I looked it up and it said it was out now. So I'm kind of curious to open it and see. I don't know. You look it up while I'm looking at this. Okay. Next up, we have the World Update 20 for Microsoft Flight Simulator we talked about earlier. That added more stuff from Japan, including updates to Tokyo, Osaka, and more, which is a free update that is available now. So we know that for sure. At least you can play it if you've already got it. Except for, if you're on Xbox and you don't get VR. Just a little salty about that. I'll get over it.
It is out now.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I think I was looking at it on the store.
So yesterday, that's why he said wish list, because it wasn't at the time. It wasn't.
That was 3:00 in the morning. We're not even dealing with that. Next up, Ninja Gaiden 4's difficulty design was shown off, and this is kind of cool. I know some people are going to complain about it, be like, "Oh, it's this should be so brutally difficult, no one can play it." Screw that. Let's have fun. So we're getting a hero mode, which activates auto guard, auto dodge, and other assists which can be toggled on and off individually whenever you want. So if you're playing the game and something gets too difficult, or you're still trying to learn, because it takes time to figure these things out, you can activate these to help you along, so you're not just stuck and you don't hit a wall and never play it again. And I like the fact I went back and looked. Not only can you turn them on and off individually, but you can customize when they take effect.
Yep.
So you can have it where you don't have auto dodge or auto block until you're like right about to die, to keep you from getting that point, so you can still work. Like, you can adjust it.
That is a great feature Shinobi has as well, where Shinobi you can actually change it in assist mode, where you can say, I want certain things to hurt me more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have like your bosses and your enemies hurt you more or hurt regular, but have like the environment hurt less because you're not good at platforming, but you're really good at hack and slash. So I like being able to tweak the assists as much. So it's not just like too easy or something like that.
Right.
It's something where you can be like, I wish I had this back, turn that back on. I wish I had this back, turn that back on. So I like stuff like that. I know some people will call it like, what are you, journalist mode? I like to call it backlog mode, because sometimes somebody like me, I want to get the story, but I can't play the same boss 14 times and spend 3 hours on it. I can't.
Yeah.
So I want to play through the game. So I'm glad it has something like this, because I've played through the Ninja Gaidens, all of them, and 3, at least for the Wii U, was very accessible to me that I could play through it. And yeah, they had the Ninja Dog mode where you get a little pink thing around your arm, but this is taking it a step further, which I like.
Yeah, I'm glad they're not mocking you for doing that. I never liked when games would mock you for having an easier setting, because not everybody can play this the same way. And I get it, you want your difficulty. You can have your difficulty, but don't just stop everyone from enjoying it. Not everybody gets to do that. And what might be a little bit easier for somebody could be the only way they can play it, and they shouldn't be mocked for doing that. So anything for that. There's a standalone training mode that has been added that apparently you can go to at any time. So if you're just trying to figure out something, you can just go into the menu, go to the training mode, try some stuff out, and then hop right back into the game, which is great.
That just tells me that Platinum Games learned from the Bayonetta loading screens. Like, oh, we could make that a fully fledged mode where you can practice your combos.
Yeah, well, I think, what was it, when Bayonetta came to other systems and they loaded quicker, I was like, no, I need that time to remember how the controls work. Go back. Load slower. I need this. Lastly, they do have, for those people that are just sadomasochists and love to make Ninja Gaiden as
or want to play
possible
it
as
in
it
the
can be.
original mode.
Right. They added Master Ninja mode, which cannot be changed to mid-game. You have to start the game with that mode and play through it. And they showed some gameplay of somebody actually playing through this mode, and it is intense. You're having to dodge all the time, hits, more damage, but you're not doing as much. Enemies don't come at you one at a time. You'll be mid combo and they'll start dogpiling on you. So you have to constantly keep an eye out for what's going on and really work your environment and go with that. So good luck to those that want to play it. I'm not going to be one of them.
I will love watching people who want to play on that mode, because it'll probably look like an art form in itself.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great for YouTube videos.
Yeah,
good. I'm not doing it.
That's your game. Like, go for it. Like,
Yeah, not at all. And the last announcement I wanted to talk to from the Xbox One, Forza Horizon 6 was announced and teased. It's going to be taking place in Japan, with the teaser trailer they showed for the release of 2026. No gameplay has been shown, and as best I can tell, we're getting Series X and S and PC release same date. Later, a PS5 release is going to be coming out as well. Go ahead, Steven.
And they did announce, which is insane, that the map for this one is going to be twice as big as the last one.
Holy crap. Now, what I want to know, if that's just the main Mexico map from the last one, or if they're counting that and the Hot Wheels map. Actually, there was, 5 got ridiculous with the map size in that one. So, yeah, Japan's going to be huge. There's going to have to be drifting in the mountains, though, because that used to be a thing they loved to do on some of the old Forza Motorsports. That became a whole deal for groups that would take the Japanese mountain paths for doing drifting. So I'd love to see that come back.
It's being described as Mondo Huge, their biggest map yet. It's our most full. It is the largest in the series history. The Forza Horizon 6 map is larger than Forza Horizon 5's Mexico map, which itself was twice the size of 4.
I remember the original Colorado map and going like, this is amazing. And it just got ridiculous from there.
So yeah, it's going to be big.
Good Lord. I guess, and I'm kind of curious, Stephen, you probably have a series like this as well, but Forza for me is a series that every game that comes out, I get it the day it comes out, or I buy the biggest edition of it. So I might get to play it early. But every one of them I have played. So Forza Horizon 6, I will get the biggest version that comes out. I'll probably get that early access, and I will be playing it that first day, because this is a series I absolutely 100% love every time.
That would be an interesting big question, because I'd have to kind of look into something I have like bought quickly, if not day one, every single one.
Okay. All right. Fun little edit there. My daughter came into the room. I had to stop for a second. Anyways, so for the Xbox Tokyo Game Show, there was a few things I liked, but just like PlayStation, I'm kind of giving like it was nice, but I really want to see more stuff announced, and it just kind of feels like PlayStation and Xbox are kind of coasting right now. I guess we're just kind of waiting for more announcements or things to really be kind of pushed. But what about you? What are your thoughts on it?
I put this at least a peg above Sony's.
Okay.
Because there was just, I don't know, more interesting stuff shown there, or at least showing off their Japanese partners more.
Yeah.
Except for towards the end where they actually said, like, this is from now our partners that, we're showing off how much we love, Japan by showing all their locations in Call of Duty 7, which we didn't cover because it's Call of Duty 7. But then Horizon, like, Japan, and we're going to be like super respectful to the whole area and stuff. I was like, all right. So it was just nice to see. Plus, I like the cat that kept purring every time they announced every game. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, we are cat people, so I guess that works for us.
If you ever want to laugh, watch that again with subtitles.
Oh, God.
Because every time the cat purrs, it gives you a subtitle for it, and sometimes it says little baby purrs, or it says pure kitty purrs. It keeps changing the description. Awesome.
That's fantastic. All right, let's jump over to our next little bit of news here. Actually, our last news story for the night. So, Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser will be retiring on December 31st, 2025, with Devin Pritchard taking over as on January 1st. She is currently the Executive Vice President of Revenue, Marketing, and Consumer Experience. So he'll be stepping down. She'll be taking over, and we'll kind of see where it goes from that point. And some people were talking about like, oh, this is such a quick turnaround. He hasn't been in that position very long. So I went back and looked at it. We've had 4 previous Nintendo of America presidents. And while he is nowhere near the longest, he's also not the shortest term. But we had Minoru Arakawa, which was 1980 to 2002. So he was in that position for 22 years, which is crazy. He got that job about a year after I was born and did not leave it until 2 years after I was married and had a kid. Like, that's a hell of a long time being a president of Nintendo of America. After him, we had Tatsumi Kimishima from 2002 to 2006. He was so far the shortest tenured in that position. It was only 4 years. Followed by this guy none of us have ever heard of, Reggie Fils-Aimé, from 2006 to 2019. So he was there for 13 years and never gave us Mother 3. Say what?
His body was only ready for 13 of them.
Never gave us Mother 3. And then, of course, Doug Bowser from 2019 to 2025. So 6 years for him. So, yeah, we'll see how that'll actually change. It probably won't be the biggest of differences. I'm curious to see how she handles some of the stuff like the tariff situation here in the U.S. and things like that. But most of the big decisions are still made in Japan.
I'm glad she's got a lot of tenure with the company.
Yeah, she's been there for a while.
She knows how everything works. She's fully in the Nintendo ethos of what they love and dislike and stuff like that. And I'm always good with these. I hate when they always interview the presidents, because of course you're going to get all softball PR answers and questions. So
Yeah.
stop interviewing them. It's more important that you highlight the decisions they make. Like, what did they help bring here? What did they help do? And what did they not help do?
Yeah.
Because that's overly what you care about with any president, is how are you helping and how are you hurting?
I think when I was reading about the article for this, some of the people were talking about, like, they thought Doug Bowser hadn't done much, but there was other groups that were saying, like, yeah, he helped us a lot, because once he started, there were translations in different languages that had never been done before, that all of a sudden he kind of pushed to have done. So these whole new groups were able to play Nintendo games because of that. So just because you're not directly affected by the decisions doesn't mean they're not doing something for somebody. So I'm curious to see what her steps will be, and what new thing she comes up with for that regard. And I'm sure we'll eventually see her somewhere in a Nintendo Direct at some point. We didn't see Doug Bowser that often. They made the jokes because of his last name being Bowser.
Well, there's already jokes saying she should change her last name to Peachard.
I like the fact that her first official picture is her with a Pikmin, the Bulborb. And I was like, okay, I love Pikmin. That's a good start. It's a good reference for that. All right, let's jump over to the speed run. This is a weird one this week. Starting off with Hideo Kojima has announced a credit card. This is with MUFG Bank, and it's just that's just the weirdest thing I think I've ever heard him announce. Go ahead, Steven.
Oh, so they asked him about that, and he said he picked MUFG Bank because he said in his younger years it was the first bank to give him a loan.
It's just credit cards. Just what a weird thing.
He also said he also announced his own sake, because you need all
why
these
not?
revenue, you need all these revenue streams to pay for this, like whatever you're doing. And then the weirdest one, hold on, I have it here.
Oh God. I thought the credit card was the weirdest one.
No, it is not. It is
what if I
something he said recently.
Okay.
He says he wants to scan a ghost into his newest game, OD. So he wants to be the first developer to scan a ghost and put it in a game.
I am so confused of how and what he is hoping to do. What the?
It says here, Hideo Kojima wants to scan a ghost into OD, but he already recorded the ghost in his studio, and that's why we went to the shrine together with Microsoft to make sure the game isn't haunted. I want to, and he said, and I quote, I want to scan a ghost for the first time, and I want to get an award for that.
So this is a man who has an unlimited credit card that he probably shouldn't, and has drank too much of his own sake. That is what is happening here. That is the most Kojima insane thing I think I've heard.
Well, he knows who to hire when he finally does, because then she can be like, we got one.
This is going to be a Kojima Ghostbusters thing now. Fantastic. I'm in for that. I love Ghostbusters. Why not? Next up, we had developer Splash Damage is separated from Tencent after being acquired by a private equity investor that is yet to be announced. But they state they will continue to operate under their existing leadership for now. So we don't know who has bought them, hoping this is not another continuation of what we talked about earlier with EA.
But it could be that this is the way out when you're under their umbrella.
Yeah, could be, because it's like you've gotten out from Tencent. Is this going to be better or worse? So we'll have to find out. Next up, Costco has removed all Xbox hardware for sale from their stores, with their only statement being, quote, we don't have any plans going forward to carry an Xbox console. And then they were continued on stating to somebody that this was a business decision. So no word if this is in regards to the recent increase of Xbox hardware costs, tariffs, or other stuff. And they're still openly carrying all of Nintendo and PlayStation hardware and games. So yeah, kind of an odd one on that. Obviously, the Xbox ROG Ally X will not be carried there, even though that has popped up. I think we forgot to mention that. It's like, what, $1,000 for the big version officially?
$1,000 for the big version, and the Microsoft Store is already sold out of them.
Yep.
But they are available elsewhere because a lot of people have looked at the specs, and the $1,000 version is the one to get because, according to most people's reporting, the $600 version is less powerful than a Switch 2 or a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And a Steam Deck right now, you can get an OLED for $316 until October 1st.
Steam Deck is still really nice, yes. There's a lot of limitations what you can play, but there's a lot of stuff you can just fine. Like, it's still great to play it.
It depends on really what if you have a Steam library, Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But if you have other libraries, that's the biggest appeal of the Rogue, is having the launchers for like Good Old Games, Epic Game Store, basically all those companies that have been giving out free stuff as well. So
the biggest draw is this is the first official device that has the updated Windows for gaming. So now you're dropping all those background functions just to run it. They've been doing tests on some of the other hardware because it leaked that other hardware can get it, and they've been using it and kind of seeing a little bit of performance differentials. But I'm waiting for that to come out for my Legion Go, which is still, it's going to be in between. Like, it's more powerful than my Steam Deck by a good bit. Won't be as powerful as a ROG Ally X, but I already own this, so I don't need to spend another, $1,000 on that. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to wait and get a few generations down the line.
Considering this is something Xbox is pushing hard, I hope when Chase does get it that he kind of takes a section of the podcast and gives his official review of what he thinks.
Yeah, because this will be his entry into PC gaming with us as well, which will open up all kinds of stuff for us to play.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's go over to the big question. So this week's going to be an easy one that you suggested earlier, but what is a game or two you would recommend for the upcoming Halloween season for someone to try? So, Stephen, I'll let you start that off of what you would suggest myself or others to give a shot this year.
So I'm going to preface this with, if you went to go see Stephen King's The Long Walk, like I did.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting on physical to come out.
Very good movie. Definitely raises your heart rate. So it is good if you like games if you like that feeling of horror, where instead of just like, that's gross, you're more like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm going to go through just a couple of generations here, at least 3 generations. And one of them is the Clock Tower games, only the first and the third one.
Okay.
Because the feeling of being chased and your only ability is to hide or delay dying, to just, get out of their point of view, has always been thrilling to me. It's what got me into those games to begin with. So Clock Tower 1 is amazing. Clock Tower 2 is scripted. So you have to hide here, you have to hide there. Not very good in my eyes. But Clock Tower 3, for some reason published by Capcom, was also a great title. And then if you want to go down that route, there's Haunting Ground, but that game is not very nice with its price. So
I have it though. I haven't messed with it much, but I do own it.
See how you can acquire that one. And then lastly, and you can kind of go with any version of this, is Dead Space. Both the remake and the original are really well done. It's one of those games, kind of like Condemned, which I also really loved.
That's one of the ones I was going to mention.
But that just falls into the category of games you should play surround sound or with headphones.
Oh yeah,
lights off to get the optimal effect for Halloween, because then you'll be second guessing any of the sounds in your house, especially if you're big into what was that noise. Dead Space is the best for that because they intentionally make creaking sounds and screaming or moving, skittering.
I'm about to say the skittering is what you really got me. I was
and the fact that if you kind of like some of that grotesque things, they said in the behind the scenes for Dead Space that they actually looked at corpses from car accidents to get their creatures design, which is already freaky.
Yeah. That was one of those remakes that's just definitely worth playing because it was disgusting. I loved it though.
But yeah, definitely. So if you have a PS1, a PS2, or a PS3, or a PS4, or a PS5, you can play one of those games because Those are fantastic for me, and those were those games that always just kept me on the edge of my seat and kind of just you could hear your heart beating after a while because you were scared what's going to happen next.
Nice. So mine are a little more eclectic for the choices and kind of a little bit older style. The one that I was going to originally recommend was Shadowgate, which was on the NES, but the version I loved playing the most was the Game Boy Color port because that was actually a really well done one, especially if you put on headphones, good music, trying to solve through it. Because yeah, it's not the most action oriented game. It's basically, point and click, but you can die in so many terrible ways while trying to solve the puzzles and go through it and just kind of getting lost in that dungeon. But that also led on to Shadowgate 64. I don't know if you've ever played that one, but they did a surprisingly good job. I didn't even realize this could be capable on Nintendo 64 before I got to play it years later. And they, you're going through this entire castle that like you've been defeated and you're thrown into a dungeon and you're having to pull your way out of it. And there's like things like sneaking around and creatures and you're trying to avoid. And it's a lot more engaging. Like you still get that exploration and sudden death from Shadowgate, but you're in an actual environment with things moving and attacking and trying to hide from things and stuff like that.
I will say, Chase, if you do see it, last time I was at my doing Pathfinder,
mm-hmm.
They did have a Shadowgate tabletop RPG.
What?
I showed my friend and he immediately bought it online. So
I might have to look into that. That's awesome. I was going to mention Condemned on the 360, but you already mentioned that one. That's a great one. That's really good at messing with you, especially with the mannequins. Because that was one of the earlier examples of you playing it and you'll turn and turn back and like the mannequins will slightly move. They may not even attack, but like they've moved and you're like, wait, did that happen? And
I think that's really good because the game Silent Hill F is doing a lot of that where there's a lot of not moving mannequins, but then if you do something wrong or suddenly you'll find out that they were ready to move, but they were at a certain sequence. For me, Condemned was when you because I always either played in my basement at home when I was younger or now in this den, is because of the surround sound they made it sound like people were walking upstairs in my house, and I was like, this game is. I had like 4 people like watch me play Condemned, like this is so freaky with your sound system. I'm like, yeah, right.
Oh, I haven't played that in forever. I need to try that again because I don't think I ever played in a place where I had an Ever story. So, the last game though, speaking of Silent Hill, that I wanted to recommend, which was one of my favorites, is actually Silent Hill Shattered Memories, specifically on the
one.
Wii. The reason for that one is like, yeah, graphically it's not as good, but this is an interesting remake of the first game. But you are not powerful. You are always having to run and hide. And that is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy for that because eventually, you get all these weapons and things and, oh, I can fight back. I can defeat these things. But in this game, doesn't matter. You have to run. You have to hide. You cannot beat these things. So you're basically more of prey, than you are the hunter for a lot of this stuff. And
yeah, having the sense of dread is always awesome.
And then on top of that, the way that it has you answer the questions at the beginning, so it psychologically messes with you and changes things in the game, was such a fun aspect of that one. It was also available on the PSP. I never got to play that version.
On PS2.
Oh, it was on PS2? I thought it was just on PSP and Wii.
I especially liked it too because it's one of those few games that the developers thought of, like you said, with their decisions. That in the beginning, when they're like, "Do you drink?" If you say no, it changes all the alcohol into soda cans in the game, and you're just like, "What, really?" Or if you go to a certain look at something too long, it's gonna like jot that down, but you didn't know it jotted that down.
Like that was the one. It used the Wii remote in really fun ways, and that's part of why I like the Wii version. The flashlight worked like an actual flashlight. You're looking around and with things, moving it like you should with the motion controls. Your radio came through the speaker on the Wii remote, so it had that really staticky sound, which was already a small speaker, so it really worked with that. You have to put it to your ear for it to hear stuff or for calls, and like that one, I kind of wish would be redone I know you wouldn't be able to do the speaker part as well for the Switch, but you can still do the flashlight. But I think that would be one I would want on PS5 because you could still contain the built-in speaker and the controller because that was such a fun aspect of it to carry it on to redo that. But like I said, I like the fear of not being able to fight back. Like you have to run, you're not some army guy or survivalist or whatever. You're just a dude trying to find his kid, just about shitting himself, terrifying, running away from everything.
You don't have healing options. It's just, no, you're found, you're dead.
Yeah. It's more realistic, I think, for a lot of that stuff, because you don't just wander into stuff like this and just walk through. Like you're freaking out. So, all right. So yeah, that's a couple of recommendations for us for Halloween games to play this year. We'll probably come up with some other little lists and things like this in the future, but we'll go ahead and wrap that part up here. All right. Well, that pretty much covers it for episode 190 tonight. Stephen, thank you again for joining me. I know it's just the two of us, but we'll come up with what we got next. Hopefully Chase will be back next week, or Chris will join us again at some point. But yeah, beyond that, I guess pretty much it for tonight. And this has been episode 190 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Things are about to get spooky.
Who are you going to call? This has been a production of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast by the staff at zenspath.com. The show is created and edited by Jeremy Powers. You can find the video edition of the show on our YouTube channel at ZenspathCom. The audio edition is located wherever you find your podcasts. Links to all versions of the show, as well as to our Discord where you can talk with us directly, is located at www.zenspath.com. Please leave us a like, thumbs up, comment, and review where you can to help us grow.